What's up, guys? This is Adi with Rios International, and I'm here giving you a post match reaction for that unfortunate disaster we saw earlier today. Olympiacos falling 3-0 to BODO GLIMT in Norway. It was a tough one to watch, guys. Very difficult. And I'm going to get into all of it in just a second. If you guys are tuning in, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, every engagement helps us continue to find red and white fans. If you're listening to this on audio, give us a 5-star review and please leave us a comment. Engage with us as much as you can because every engagement continues to help us find more red and white fans. You can also support us on Patreon. We have a fantastic and lively WhatsApp channel, always lively after both wins and losses, especially after losses. And there's a lot of other great content that we offer. You can check out some of our interviews on Patreon, enhanced analyses. We just did a great interview about the state of football right now in Ukraine. And there's a lot of great interviews with some executives, journalists, scouts, you name it. We've talked to everybody and we're going to continue to talk to everybody. So thank you to our lovely patrons. And if you're interested in joining Patreon, check us out on patreon.com/Thrilos7International. And we would also like to take a quick second to thank our newest patron, Pecco7. Thank you so much for joining the community, buddy. We're glad to have you, and we hope that more of you join us soon. So let's talk a little bit about this match. So starting with the lineup, I know when a lot of us saw the lineup, reminder, we had not just two injuries in very important players, Ayub El and Andre Horta, but we also have two players that just recently returned from injury, Banos Retsos and Chiquinho. Both of them had just returned to the team sheet against AEK this past Sunday. So both of these guys were just coming back. Starting lineup came out, and we had seen, besides, of course, Solaki starting in goal, the usual starting back four. Francisco Ortega on the left, David Carmo left center back. Julian Biancon got the start at right center back. Despite the fact that Panos Retsos was on the roster, he seems to be healthy, but this could have been just another situation of easing Retsos in. Retsos didn't really play against Ike, so we expected that maybe he would be eased in as we got closer to the international break. Rodinei was playing right back, Muzakitis partnering Heze in the midfield, and then Chiquinho was actually starting in that number 10 role behind Roman Yaramchuk, and he was flanked by Luis Palma on the left and Gelson Martins on the right. Now, looking at the lineup, there wasn't really a lot of wiggle room here. We knew Yaramchuk was starting, had a feeling that Chiquinho was going to be starting in his pressing role behind Yaramchuk. Gelson Martins Palma, not the craziest thing. I had actually expected maybe we would see Velde because he would have a little bit more experience playing on these AstroTurf surfaces. The midfield didn't surprise us. Danny Garcia is out. Marco Stamenic is not a player that's been relied on very much this season, so didn't expect to see him. So seeing Muzakitis and Santiago Heze, there was not really other options. The one thing that kind of disappointed me was that I really expected to see Costinha at the right back. Rodinei, as you guys know, and especially when we're in Europe, we actually get more out of him when he's playing as the right wing for us. At right back, he is very much a liability on the defensive side of things. And today, unfortunately, was no different. He had a difficult game. Not that anybody really had a great game, but Rodinei had a difficult game today. And you saw as soon as Costinha entered the pitch, it was just an instant difference in terms of what we were seeing, both offensively and defensively. So that was your starting lineup. Really, no issues on my end, at least, apart from Rodinei getting the start. Now, going into this match, we had talked so much about the conditions in Norway. Bodo Glimt plays on that plastic grass, the AstroTurf, which so many teams have complained about, not just this season, but in previous seasons. Bodo Glimt has beaten a lot of big teams on this surface, and we knew it was going to be difficult. Now, the team didn't arrive in Norway until yesterday late afternoon, evening. I had been saying, and for those of you that heard me on the live show and in the WhatsApp chat, I would have preferred personally, and not everybody agrees with me here. I would have preferred if the team had flown to Norway a little bit earlier to get used to the conditions, get used to the pitch, so that maybe it was a little bit less of a shell shock to them when they're trying to play the ball, how things are going to move, how their movements are going to be impacted on the pitch. But the team decided not to do that. They waited until yesterday afternoon, evening, and I'm sure that that impacted the players slightly as well. Going into this game, we also had another concern, which was injuries. We wanted to make sure that on the turf that we didn't get any injuries to our players. We're already injury riddled, and we have a very, very, very important playoff schedule coming up. We play Ofi this weekend with two players just returning for injuries. Our star striker out, and Andre Horta, one of our key creative players since he's come back. Can't afford to have many more injuries. The squad is pretty thin at Mendilibar's request. So one of the biggest things that we were thinking about was just getting out of here without injuries. So these were the things going into the game that we were thinking about. The game started and kind of started exactly how many of us expected. For the first 15, 20 minutes, 20 minutes really, I mean, we couldn't do anything. The press looked it not that it looked disorganized, we just didn't look like we could keep up. We couldn't keep possession. We weren't playing the balls correctly. We weren't finding feet. Balls were getting overhit. We were disjointed. And a lot of this had to do not just with the cold, but the fact that we couldn't move the same on the turf. It just looked like we were running in molasses. Th- It, it, BODO GLIMT was just having their way with us. And unfortunately, 12 minutes in, and you could feel this coming. I mean, you could feel that we just weren't getting anything going. They had all of the momentum early on, and they get the corner kick. It was in the 12th minute. And it really, that first goal was just one of those lucky goals that we concede in Europe. They get the cross, header comes in, Gosas gets a hand on it. The ball goes up and hits the crossbar, bounces back down, hits him in the back, and goes in. I mean, what is the kid supposed to do there? Really unfortunate. Maybe you could make the argument that at Biancon, that that was his guy. Biancon should have been able to jump for that. It didn't look like he really jumped much at all, or even tried to get up for the ball. Maybe if he had done a little bit better there, he could have stopped the whole thing from happening. But 12 minutes in, and we're already living kind of the nightmare that we were worried about and we expected going into this game. It took 20 minutes, but once that 20th minute crossed, we saw the team was beginning to make some things happen. We were beginning to get better touches, and quite frankly, after they scored that first goal, it was one-way traffic for us. We were really doing well, getting the ball forward, starting to control the ball, keeping them in their end. We were intercepting the ball. We were getting the ball into their third, but not really penetrating the penalty area. It took 10 minutes for us to get our first shot, which was a hopeful shot from distance from Chiquinho. Then we finally, at around the 30th minute, got that opportunity with Roman Yaremchuk. Ball comes in and he tries to slot it right past the keeper. A couple minutes later, Luis Palma on that left side gets a pretty nice shot from distance that looked pretty dangerous. Yaremchuk again, a couple minutes after that, gets himself it was a header that he just couldn't get much on, unfortunately, and it wasn't as dangerous maybe as we would have liked from the situation he was in. But he was getting into some scoring opportunities, and at that time, you know, Bodo Glimt, we were really limiting them. I mean, when outside of the goal that they scored or I should say the own goal that they had very early on, they didn't have much. They didn't have much at all. They didn't have much at all until I think it was the end of the first half. They had those flurries of chances. I mean, then they get into extra time and the second goal comes in. Another one. I mean, this one is more on Rodinei. The second goal that came in for Bodo Glimt, they're working the ball on that right side, and first the ball gets played from the right side, on all the way on the end of the touch line, gets played in. Muzakitis is about a step too short to try and press the BODO player that's getting to the ball. Then it gets played into right behind him for Chiquinho's man. Chiquinho's also a step behind. The ball gets played back to the winger. He's running in on David Carmo. David Carmo tries to get himself in front of it, and then the ball is just played, and Rodinei has just completely loses his marker, and it's just an easy goal right in front, and another really terrible situation going into the half, because here we are, it was 1-0. We were just getting our momentum. Things we let go right in the at the death of the first half. And extra time, we're just letting them have 3-4 great opportunities, and we eat one right before halftime. Horrible, horrible situation. In the first half, you just could see that the press was not working. It after about 20 minutes, we were finally getting into a position where we were elevating our line. We were putting some more pressure on them, but they still had, at the end of the half, these counters that were so difficult. Rodinei was getting exposed down that side. Francisco Ortega on the left flank was getting exposed. You could see that we were having some difficulties. The players could not change direction as quick. They looked like we looked like we were stepping in syrup. We were looked like our players just could barely move, and the Bodo Glimt was just way more prepared in these conditions. They were way more used to it, and it showed. It really did, unfortunately. Now, with things going the way they were, 2-0 down, I expected to see some substitutions for Mendilibar. Christos Mouzakitis, our 18-year-old midfielder, has not been having a great go of it for a few games now. He's been in a rut, and this game was no different. We hoped that maybe because he was on the turf, we would see an advantage with his technical ability and his ability to play the ball, but none of that really materialized. He was not doing much at all in the midfield either. He was getting run all over. Santiago Heze was covering as best as he could, but it was a game that really needed Danny Garcia, and unfortunately, Danny Garcia was injured. Muzakitis struggling. I thought maybe, okay, maybe we see some kind of change in midfield, but or we bring on Velde at halftime, because what's going on with the wingers isn't happening. Luis Palma and Gelson just couldn't get much moving. Gelson's issue today was the same as it's been for a while. I mean, Gelson will dribble through 1, 2 players. He'll make a great move and get space, but then his final ball is absolutely miserable. And it's just so unfortunate. But we get to halftime, and there's absolutely no changes. And we just start the second half the same way we let the first half. And just like the first half started, Bodo Glimt had all of the pressure. They started off on the front foot, and we looked like we were defending a lead, which was the funniest part. No change at halftime. We look like we're defending a lead. Finally, that third goal, that travesty of a third goal, goes in. This time it comes from the left side, and then the ball gets played in kind of like just inside where the penalty area is on the left side, all the way to the right. The ball goes through three red white shirts, three players. Not a single person can get a foot on it. Also goes past the goalkeeper, Tsolakis. Another easy goal for them. 3-0. And right after that goal goes in, Mendilibar finally decides to bring in his subs. He brings in the first two subs. He brings off Roman Yaremchuk, who is struggling, and he takes off Muzakitis for Costinha. Rodinei goes to the right wing. Costinha comes on. Kostulas takes the position that Roman Yaremchuk had. And as soon as the substitution is made, we were dominant for most of the second half. We were creating opportunities. We were punching up in their third. We had more control of the possession game. We materialized some decent chances. I think one of the best chances we had was Gelson Martins. It was around the 60th minute. Gelson Martins had an opportunity that was right in front of goal that unfortunately, he couldn't do much more with. Gelson Martins had a chance earlier than that too, near right after where the subs were. Costinha was getting involved. Costinha was doing much better containing the Norwegian players, containing Bodo Glimt's players on that right side. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough. No matter what we did, no matter who came on, even Veld came on later. Christopher Velde, he came on with Bruno and Yamaichi. Panos Retzos came on. Didn't matter. We just couldn't score a goal, which was A shame. We really should. If we could have gotten just a single goal in all of this, if we could have just gotten one, it would have made our lives so much easier going back to Greece for the second leg. Couldn't do it. Now, before there's been a lot of complaining. People thinking the world is burning down because of this result. And I have to tell you guys, for the individuals that are going in on the team, acting like this is a disaster, singling out players, some clowns on Facebook, some clowns on social media going after Rodinei, after everything those guys have done for us, after a 26 game unbeaten streak, acting like this. If you've lost faith in the team and you don't believe they can do this, don't watch the game on Thursday. Don't watch the game. If you're in Greece, don't go to the stadium if you don't have faith. I still have faith in this team. I believe that they can do this. They did it against Maccabi Tel Aviv when we were in a worse situation than we are now. We were in a terrible situation. We had no hope with that team. There was zero, nothing. Playing away in BODO, in Norway, especially as far north as they are, is one of the most difficult things right now in Europe. Better teams than us have bitten the dust against BODO GLIMT in these conditions. Better teams than us. We go back to Greece. It's not going to be easy by any stretch. This is a good team. This is a better team than Maccabi Tel Aviv. It's not going to be easy to overturn this deficit. And the odds aren't in our favor. It's not likely that we will. But I believe in this team. This team has done so well. For me, I had been saying that my expectations this season, I wanted to see the team get at least to the round of 16 in Europa League. Win the championship, get to the round of 16 in Europa League. That, to me, is a good season, a successful season. And we did that. The guys come out, they give everything that they can. Maybe they win the game and we don't proceed. I'm still happy with what this team has done. But I believe that they can overcome this deficit. The president, Vagelis Marinakis, after the game, made comments. He made comments about the pitch and how horrible it was, but he said, no, we're going to go. We're going to come to Greece. We're going to win this game. I don't care. He said, we're going to win this game in Greece. Rodinei came out and said, you know what, it was a terrible game, but we will give our lives for the next game in Thursday. And I believe they will. I don't think they're going to let this go. So everybody that's been out there, some of, individuals that are taking an opportunity to take digs at the players, go after the players, shame on you. After what they've been through, the things they've done, we're in first place. Even when we're at our worst, there's no team in Greece that can do anything. The same individuals that have been shitting on this roster and the players we brought in all season, I'm not doing it. I'm still proud of these guys. You know what? This was a bad outing. Not everybody agrees that the cold and the AstroTurf was a big deal, but I do, and it clearly showed. Through the entire Europa League, we let in 3 goals, and then we let in 3 in one day. This is the exception, not the rule. We're going to go back to Greece. I'm confident we can at least get a result in Greece, even if it means we don't make it to the next round. But I believe in this team, and I will continue to do so. We couldn't enact our game plan in Norway because the conditions weren't there. That's on Mendilibar. Mendilibar only knows how to play one way. Press to win. The conditions aren't really there for it. He doesn't care. He only knows how to play one way, and that's it. Coming to Greece, we can play this way, and we will probably have more success. The level of success we will have, I couldn't tell you. Another issue that's on Mendilibar is who he started. Don't know why he stuck with Rodinei to begin here. When in Europe, Rodinei has struggled, especially defensively, all season. Costinha was always the better start here. Realistically, would that have changed much? Maybe the second goal. Maybe Costinha gets more crosses, delivers one that we finish. Rodinei was terrible on all assets of the ball today. I didn't see him dribble past a single person. He didn't connect a single cross. Quite frankly, I don't even think I saw him win a single duel, defensively or offensively. So Coutinho, on the other hand, I can count 4 crosses I know of that he connected in the little time that he had. That we can put on Mendilibar, those decisions. The decisions not to adjust the game plan, the decision not to play a certain player. The rest we can put on some of the players. Especially by the end, the players just looked like they were ready to leave. And in a way, I don't necessarily blame them. The conditions were horrible. It's cold. Guys, it's if you have never played in the cold like that, it sucks. Especially near freezing weather. And it's snowy. It's gross on AstroTurf of all things. It sucks. But in the end, these guys are paid the big bucks. We expect to see them give everything. And they either couldn't do it or they didn't look up for it. That's on the players. That's on the players. So a little blame can go each way here. Maybe some blame can also go for not to the organization for not going to Norway earlier, if that would have helped anything. We can't be sure. There's too many ifs here. The only thing we can be sure of is everybody needs to get behind this team. These players, they're going to come back next week and they're going to do everything they can. It's not over. You guys remember what Andre Orta told Maccabi Tel Aviv, what he told Coach Robbie Keane when they were celebrating a 4-1 win. He said, it's not over. Still another game to play. It's not over, guys. Actually, our odds are better than they were last year. Last year, when we lost to Maccabi Tel Aviv, our odds to win the Conference League were 0.01%. This year, it's 7%. So it's a little higher. We'll take it. We're going to take it because this is Olympiacos. It'll be difficult. We got to get the tactics right. Hopefully everybody's healthy. If we have Andre Orta even at 50%, Ayub El-Kabi even at 50%, we can do this. We can still do this. So for all of you that are listening, I don't want anybody to be super negative thinking our European journey is over, because it's not. Most of this same group of players were here and they made history by doing the unthinkable, by overturning one of the largest deficits ever. Doesn't mean it'll happen again, but I believe in this team and you guys should too. They've been through a lot. And if we're really going to talk perspective, the priority this year is winning the league for the 100-year anniversary. That is the priority. At the time of recording this weekend, we have some big things coming up. Saturday, the 100-year anniversary jersey goes on sale. There's going to be a drone show coming up as well this weekend. So there's a lot of big things going on. It's a big week. The players are going to feel that. The most important thing for this team right now, they have to quickly regroup, and we have to really, really give everything against Offi on Sunday. We have to give everything, make a statement, beat them. And then we take that momentum when we go into Thursday. That's what this team has to do. Result sucks. Losing 3-0 hurts, especially with what we've seen this season, the resilience after some early struggles and pushing and winning derbies. It sucks. It's deflating. But the team has to regroup. There's still a lot of football to be played. Not just in Europe, but domestically. We have a 5-point lead going into the playoffs. We beat Offi. If one of the others drops, maybe we have a bigger lead going in. Then we have the playoffs. We have 6 games, 6 derbies in a row this year. There's no fifth team, which is easy points for anybody. It's going to be the other top 3 rivals, and that's it. Going to play 6 games. Got to see what we can do. 5-point buffer, even an 8-point buffer, if we can do it, isn't enough. So the team has to get its head on straight. A lot of football to be played. And we have to do this. We have to do this. The league, the Super League is the priority. It is. It's the priority. So we need to turn around Sunday, regroup, get a big win against Offi. After that, we focus on what happens on Thursday for the next game. If you guys have any other questions about anything, you guys want to talk more, we're going to do a lot more with data, of course, over the next day or so before we do pre-match for Offi. So we're going to be posting all that stuff. So check it out. Engage with us if you want to talk about the match. If you want to forget about the match, don't worry. No one's going to hold that against you as well. We'll be chatting about all things. We'll be live again on Sunday. We do apologize. We could not give you guys a live show today. The schedules do not always work out during the week. It is very difficult. But like I said, we return on Sunday after the game against Ofi. And let's hope that this team can get some momentum back. Let's hope this team can really, really, really perform another miracle. It would be insane to have another European miracle like last year. Support the team, have faith, and let's go Olympiacos. I'm Adi. This is Theaters International by the fans for the fans.